On the high level, it could sound simple, but it's actually it was pretty sophisticated to set everything up, especially given that they onboard new clients constantly, and for the new clients, they create a new GHL account, so it's a different connection for each of their clients.
All right, this is a very interesting episode for this podcast I put on, which is we're going to talk to Santi, who's been doing a lot of the uh, brain work behind our brains of building really cool stuff through different technologies. Obviously, we're using a lot of AI, but we're also using some tools like N8N and Appify and things that like connect different systems. And the reason why this is important for people who are listening to this is that one of the big challenges today is to connect desperate systems that need to talk to each other for gain in both revenue, time, and opportunities for sales. Because these things that are out there manually are being done a lot in the world today, and we're trying to solve big challenges, and we're going to go through a bunch of really cool things that if you listen just a little bit on this, you're going to get an idea probably for your own business how you could really help your own revenue or your growth by just connecting things together. So, Santi, why don't you just introduce yourself real quickly, and then we'll get into a couple of things that we're doing that are really cool.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for the intro, Matt. It's really nice being here today. Just for a quick background for everyone hearing, I'm Santi. I've been on tech for the last 7 years, and for the last few years, I've been diving down into AI, automation, and tools that can help businesses grow and reduce the amount of like manual labor that it usually comes with like scaling. So yeah, it's really I'm really excited to be here. And yeah, I don't know how you want to structure this, Matt. If you want, we can dive into some of
Right.
the
Why don't we just
solutions.
jump right into what we're doing together right now, which is, I think, one of the coolest projects, which is rebuilding a brain, right? So, this is not Frankenstein, meaning we're not creating like a monster. We're literally recreating a person. We're taking every possible thing that one of our clients, Dr. Jones, has done over the last multiple years and synthesizing the conversations, his papers, everything that he's physically done and putting it into a gigantic indexable, or I guess you could say it's a giant table, right? If you looked at it from a perspective of like data. And we're utilizing that in really lots of cool ways. So let's talk about the outputs that are happening here. And I think the cool thing that's really happening is that we're doing training. We're now getting into sales, right? So if you can imagine yourself, and I know this is for people listening, if you can imagine a duplicate of yourself that is out there that knows just as much as you know, and probably knows more or is quicker at getting the facts straightened out, and is usable in different formats, and can help multiple people all at the same time. Now it gets really interesting because it duplicates yourself into multiple duplicates of yourself. So literally, we're doing a lot of work that was done manually by this team. So let's talk about that. The real cool thing here is that it's in production and it's working, right? So Santi, talk a little bit about, like, give us a little reverse engineering about what we're doing here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so basically the job with Dr. Jones was that he put out a ton of content throughout the years. He's been constantly producing content for YouTube. He has like a bunch of different channels on YouTube, and he's also doing his coaching calls and stuff like that. So we wanted to take all of this data that already exists of him and fit it somewhere so that it can be reused across different solutions. So it was a two-step process there. First, we needed to get all of that data. So we went ahead and scraped everything from YouTube and his Zoom recordings too. We actually used really cool technology in here that is actually able to watch the videos that he has. It's not like we're only grabbing the transcripts, but we're also like watching the videos. So if he's like video content is it's more than just text. So we're also like getting those details that come with like the visual side of a video, and all of that is going into a database, and that database is feeding a bunch of different systems that today he and his team is using. And I think it's really interesting. So one of the use cases of this data, we used it to create courses. So his content is very niche specific. He talks a lot about like peptides and GLP-1 medications, and there is some content in the web, of course, but he has his own way of explaining it, as every professional will have. So we wanted to create a course that actually encapsulates how Dr. Jones would talk about peptides and GLP-1 drugs, and have it so that his new hires can actually take the course and know it just like as if Dr. Jones would have taught them directly, without him needing to waste time on like preparing a course, recording the course, coaching the employees. So yeah, that's what we did. Like that was one of the outputs. We used a bunch of different AI tools to like build the course out of this brain that we have, and then actually create the videos with AI as well. So we're using AI avatars to like do the video part of the course too. So yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, and what that yield has now produced is multiple ways. So you could go into Slack and chat a message with the brain, and it would respond just the same as Dr. Jones would. And it would reference. So if you typed in something, it would not only answer your question, but it would reference a couple of different videos and parts within that video where he explains these topics, right? So it gets not only into what we call a non-hallucinatory state, and that's the big challenge with all of the chat bots that are out there, is that they'll take whatever they think is the potential right answer, and sometimes it's not because it's making it up, where we've got a standalone environment where it's only him the reference points come from. So it's very important to think about when you start doing these things that we're doing, to especially when it comes down to production, is to utilize that. And one of the other outputs now is he gets hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions a day off of these YouTube videos and TikTok videos and Instagram. He's posting 20 to 30 times a day because he's kind of become a mini celebrity in the GLP-1 space. So there's literally hundreds of questions. And what the team is doing in some cases is just basically feeding those questions into the brain for responses. So they're finding that if there's a question, the team, the VAs and so forth that are involved don't necessarily need to answer it. They just need to respond back as Dr. J by taking that question and then responding it, using it, copying it, putting it into, and you get the concept that you could do this at lightning speed now, because with potentially automation sequencing all of this stuff. So now scraping Facebook or whatever the domain is that now is questioning this particular topic, it goes into the brain, comes back out, and then follows up automatically. So there's a lot of sequencing now being done to tighten up question and answers that are now leading to sales that are catapulting what we call ROAS, which are requests for fulfillment. And that means that people are actually now getting their questions answered by the brain. They're going into production, meaning that they're going to buy services because of these answers that are being done by the brain. And it's being done at a much more scalable, you can imagine how many questions per minute are happening out there for this particular topic. And it is also potentially licensable to other people who are in the GLP-1 space, so he can actually sell himself as a potential brain, let's just call it distribution path for other people who are finding challenges with answering these questions. So it kind of gets very interesting. And now let's talk about some of the other things that are happening within that framework. We did talk about also scoring and strategizing around theming. So talk to me a little bit about how to get topics to talk about in this period where we're in this GLP-1 phase where there's so much interest. How do we find the most important topics to talk about, and where do we now commingle, right, that ability to focus the attention of where the internet is driving the discussion?
Yeah, so on that line, we also developed something really interesting for Dr. Jones, which is we're actually scraping the web for relevant trending topics on the GLP-1 space, of course. And we're sending a summary to him daily on Slack so that he can actually go in. And if it's a tweet, for example, he can go in and reply to that tweet. And if it's a trending tweet, you know how X works. Basically, you also take the audience of the trending tweet, so he can actually grow his account even further by implementing the systems. So yeah, really interesting. And also some other things and uses that we took the brain with is like streamlining his content generation process. So he, as you were saying before, Matt, he's doing a ton of YouTube content constantly. So doing those scripts is quite labor intensive, and we're reusing this brain to streamline his process of like creating those scripts. So we built specialized agents for the different types of content he produces, so long form, short form, etc. And these agents are helping him through the ideation process. Of course, leveraging the brain that is the factual data that reduces all of hallucinations. Because as you were saying, hallucinations is a really concerning topic in general, but the way to solve hallucinations is with data. So given that we're feeding the data into the agents, we're always getting quality output from them.
Right. And what's happening is that we're starting to understand we're for most of our clients, and this is kind of like interesting for I think a lot of people who may be listening to this. There's a way that they interpret the world, and as businesses want to scale, the faster that you can put the content of your interpretation of whatever topic it might be. In this case, it's GLP-1s and peptides and all these things that relate back to sort of weight loss and management and stuff. But if you think about your business and how you interpret your skill sets and your ability to define and announce your world of whatever topic you're in, if you had a replicate of yourself that could be multiplied, that you could be able to have these conversations in multiple places. So it's not just thinking about like a one-on-one conversation. This is multiplying over all these social channels and then having real-time conversations, whether it's, with a sales conversation, a training conversation, a respond to a question, a tweet, a Slack message. Like you're literally taking yourself, your guts in your brain of what you do and just taking it and like literally opening it up to the world and allowing it to be multiplied. So what happens is you scale yourself into these worlds that will generally, what I say, collapse very quickly into a sales discussion or revenue, because you're shortcutting all of the steps it takes to get to a person, right? So if you look at like, how do you get to the single point of trying to solve a problem for a customer if you are the single choke point because they need to talk to you? Now it's opened up. And it's very interesting where this goes, because as I said before, if you're that specific in a knowledge base, you can actually then take that and use that as a potential vehicle for other people to reuse you in a distribution model, where they might say, you know what, you're the best at this. I would like to use your brain. And then you can model it where you can resell yourself. It's very interesting where this is going to go. So let's talk about some other interesting solutions. I really think today, the biggest battle, if anybody here who's listening is using Go High Level, I think this next discussion is very interesting because it's a battle that we face across multiple fronts. which is determining ROAS. Well, return on ad spend, for those who don't know what that term is. Return on ad spend has been a big challenge because the mechanics of a lot of, just say, day-to-day businesses who do repeating or add-ons or all these sorts of things that repeat through a process, it's difficult to capture revenue because the systems themselves don't typically talk to each other in the same rudimentary format that a CRM like GHL would talk to a lead, right? It's not based off of the financial data typically that's connected. And when people want answers like, how much does it cost for me to get a lead? Sure, that's easy because you can say the cost is $20 for a lead and you get a lead. But what's the real return on that investment of that spend after it goes through the lead process and goes through a sales and checks out? Well, did it check out once, twice? Was there additions? Did they come back a week later and buy something? Was there another add-on that wasn't connected? Like all these things start to happen around that dollar that you're spending in Google or Facebook. So talk to me a little bit about this, Santi, because this is the quintessential question that comes up a lot because people spend a lot of money with Google and Facebook and they don't know where this money goes.
Yeah, so definitely a really important problem to solve because, as you're saying, you have two different systems. You have on one end, you have the platform you're using to run ads, and then you have your own system that actually where people buy on your own system. And there is some specific ad campaigns help with the ROAS tracking, but it's really hard because like most of the times you just want to capture an email first and then like nurture the lead throughout a series of days and eventually convert them. And the moment that you start doing those types of campaigns that actually convert better, you start losing track of where the lead came from and where if this person that it's buying today actually came through the ad. So one of our clients, Stack 11, they're a pickable marketing agency, and they had this problem, they had this challenge that they were trying to solve, and basically the way it works for them, they use GHL, so they have all of their clients are basically pickable clubs, so similar to any other sport club, and they are running ads for the pickable clubs. So the challenge they faced is for each of their clients, they open a new GHL sub account. And of course, you can integrate Facebook with GHL. So when somebody fills a lead form, you create an opportunity on GHL. But then those opportunities were still on the CRM. Basically, you wouldn't know if they actually converted. And they were doing this process manually initially. So we built a solution that actually integrates with the other system, the system where people are buying, and it's actually a few systems. Like different clubs have different systems, so we build different solutions for each of those systems, and we're actually able to see all of the transactions on the club if they relate to people that filled lead form before. So we're actually able to tell the ROAS, and we're not only telling if they purchase once, but we're actually telling all of the purchases that they do through time. And we're actually seeing it not only would measure the initial ROAS that you get from like the first purchase, but also we're able to get like LTV. We're also able to get like really important high level data that it's really good for decision making and knowing when an ad campaign is performing, when it's worth changing the ad campaigns, and so on. This is giving really powerful data to this agency that is actually a very big differentiating factor for them and makes them stand out from the competition. That the competition basically, they would manage ads for you, but you have no idea if those ads are driving revenue or not.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about how this works, because we didn't get into it in the last conversation with the Dr. Jones solution about getting into the technology, because it's sort of, I think it's rudimentary to know that this stuff is being processed through, a standalone LLM or again, a standalone environment, right? Which is, if you guys who are listening to this don't know what an LLM is, it basically means it's a language model that's being interpreted. And again, public language models are different than a private language model where it's your own, like we did with Dr. J or Dr. Jones. But this particular solution uses some different connection pieces. Can you talk a little bit about how it's connected? Because this isn't necessarily an AI solution. It is an AI solution to some degree, but it's more of a connective strategy than it's anything else.
Yeah, it's on the high level, it could sound simple, but it's actually it was pretty sophisticated to set everything up, especially given that they onboard new clients constantly, and for the new clients, they create a new GHL account, so it's a different connection for each of their clients. So yeah, the way we did this is we built a system where it's super easy for them to add new GHL sub accounts to the system. So it's like one click. You're probably used to allowing to connect your Google account with different services, like when you're signing up for a new app for the first time. So we built that for each of the GHL sub accounts. So when there's a new client, they can basically go in and that creates the new connection. Super easy for them. And then we needed to integrate that with the different order processing systems that the clubs are using. So we're using the APIs of those different systems to list all of the transactions. Basically, an API, if somebody doesn't know, it stands for Application Programming Interface, which is a super complex name for something that could have a simpler name. Honestly, it just means it's a programmatic interface to get the data that you would get from an app, usually through a website, for example. So we're through the API, we're getting the transactions similar to how you would get the transactions on the app. And we're listing those transactions and then checking the names, phone numbers, and emails of those past transactions and comparing those with all of the open opportunities on the GHL specific sub account. And for all of the past transactions, we're doing that every day. So every day we check the last 24 hours and we relate all of those transactions back into GHL, and we update the opportunity value because we're able to get actual monetary value from the transactions. And that actually, for those of you that are familiar with GHL, the final product is a very nice looking dashboard that actually you can see all of the money that is that you're getting back from the ads. Because on GHL you can do this dashboards based on the monetary value of the opportunities. So yeah, the final output is a very strategic dashboard.
Yeah, and the output sometimes can go to multiple places. I mean, we're connecting different, in some cases, we're connecting different types of dashboards through other third parties that, might be a little bit more eloquent for higher level conversations around the variance of some of this, because there might be multiple, and again, we use Cometly and some other tools like that to connect to GHL to actually make a even more robust solution for people who are really looking to drill into attribution and things that make sense, because at some level there becomes a lot more interest in when you run multiple offers and you run multiple things that relate back to multiple products. You can start to really dig into what from a ROAS standpoint, which ad campaigns and which ads within the ad campaigns and which, let's just say, A/B tests within that campaign. And again, you can go very deep into this stuff when you start to get the connective pieces put together. What particular thing did you use to connect everything together? Were you using N8N, or are you using something of that nature to, create the transactional data so that, there's actually, again, when we say N8N, that's just a machine that's out there connecting and creating little environments that support the narrative of basically what you talked about before with the API. It's sort of like a higher level of functioning within an API.
Yeah, exactly. We use N8N a ton. We're actually partners with N8N, and that's the backend that runs all of this system. So it's the orchestration platform that basically fetches data from one place, syncs it with data from another place, and basically updates it on a third place. So everything gets managed through N8N that has a very nice nice interface where you can see all of the past executions. You can see everything is running well. We also always like to integrate with Slack too, so that you can get a ping anytime every time there was a sync, you get a ping on Slack. Hey, we synced the data. Hey, we synced the data. So you can always know that everything is working fine. Because that helps removing the black box that you get sometimes around like automated solutions,
100%. So let's move on to another topic. We've got one more to talk about. I really like the idea of the real-time data scraping, right? Which, and I think the attorney that was interested in this from your perspective, where they really started to get better, let's just say, visibility through some very unique ways to scrape data, post data, and then take advantage of first mover advantage. Talk to me a little bit about how this attorney was able to now get more cases for his business by really utilizing, some very elegant connective tissue between the internet and his website.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, we've been reached out by this law firm. They basically specialize on traffic accidents. So they're super narrowed down there. And also, it's a very local service with traffic accidents because they support people in their geographic area. So that business, it's really important to know what's going on, basically, to know the news of the accidents. And what we built for them is a system that would actually fetch new pieces of news of traffic accidents. We filter, of course, by like type of news and location to make sure it's of their specific interest. We're doing this filtering with AI too. So we have like some logic filters in there, but at the end, we're also having an AI filter because sometimes with like standard filters, you can get like really silly false positives. So we want to make sure that we're only like using those good pieces of news. So what we did for them was from that new publication, we get the context of everything that happened. We rewrite it with AI, and then we publish it on his WordPress site. And this runs automatically a few times a day. So basically, they're able to create highly relevant content. So if you've been on a traffic accident and you're in that area, you would probably, one of the first things you would do is go in and Google and try to search for the accident, and you would see that they already have a publication of that accident. And the article basically explains what happened, but also explains what you can do and what are your options. And basically that funnels into their offering to support on the case. And it's a really interesting system for them because on autopilot they're able to rewrite this highly relevant pieces of content that are also like not only highly relevant but also like very timely, and basically drives them leads to their side on autopilot.
Yeah. And these are the types of things that, if you're thinking about your business, about things that happen that you say, oh, I wish I could do this, it would help X, Y, Z. A lot of that's just thinking through the logic of how to do it by using AI, scraping tools, different types of connection pieces, system integration and APIs. The things that we're doing today, very unique, and it's very doable. You just have to have the thing that you want thought through, and typically with a little bit of horsepower from Santi, your dreams just might come true, that can get solved. And so we're doing this and we're coming up with new things every single week. It seems like we're coming through with a new thing, especially for some of our more active clients that they want to explore to see if we can get better activity on scaling their business, either through leads or through revenue generation or through just being able to support their clients better. And this is all over the net right now, which is AI is advancing so quickly. And I think it's a first mover advantage for a lot of people right now. We have a lot of conversations with people who are putting chatbots and of course doing lots of things for physically trying to connect to customers faster. But the things that you're doing, and I appreciate your help, Santi, are more along the lines of thinking through more robust solutions. So if people are interested in trying to find some more, let's just say, elegant and robust solutions, certainly connect with us. But Santi, we'll chat with you again in another couple of months. We'll come back with some more stories, and I appreciate your time. It's been interesting, and I think these conversations are, getting more and more appropriate as people get a little bit down the path of understanding just an inch of this business of using AI and using these tools like N8N and Apify and all the things that kind of connect the tissue between systems and the internet. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thanks, Ton, for having me. I really enjoy the time here. And your last idea, I really resonate with that. And I think it's a really good mindset to think those type of things that you might think, okay, if I would have like 50 extra employees, I would like to do this. These days, you can actually do that without the 50 extra employees. You can get to solve those issues that you would like to at some point address, and it's possible today. So I think it's a really great idea to close with.
Great. All right. Thank you, Santi. We'll see you in the next episode.
Sounds good.